Ukrainian military expert Ivan Kyrychevskyi believes that Ukraine needs to develop its own long-range strike system to reach Russian strategic airfields. Even if we were given permission, we would not be able to reach the Russian strategic aviation airfields with ATACMS missiles. To strike Engels, Savasleika or the Olenya military airfield near Murmansk, we need longer-range weapons or must develop our own long-range system. ATACMS will not reach these targets, Kyrychevskyi said on Espreso TV. According to the military expert, instead of complaining that the Americans are not providing enough weapons, we should focus on raising our demands. We need to concentrate our efforts on obtaining Tomahawks to uphold world order. We don't demand Tomahawks. We are wasting energy without achieving concrete results, Kyrychevskyi added. Recall to attack Ukrainian cities far from the front, the Kremlin uses strategic bombers and fighter jets stationed deep inside Russia along with ground launchers closer to the border. With a US ban on missile strikes deep inside Russia still in place, to minimize Russia's capacity to launch mass attacks, Ukraine is forced to employ domestically produced drones to target airfields and launch sites. Over the past year, Ukraine has managed to substantially increase domestic production of drones, now capable of hitting targets 1,800 kilometers away, according to Ukrainian military intelligence. With dozens of Russian airfields now bombarded by Ukraine, Russian forces are forced to look for new solutions to protect their aircraft, pulling them further away from Kyiv's reach. 2 out of 5 Russian airfields located in occupied Crimea are now functioning at a minimum capacity due to constant attacks by Ukrainian forces. And if Ukraine can keep attacking Crimean airfields, Russia will be forced to stop using them. Peter Layton, Associate Fellow at the Royal United Services Institute and former Australian Air Force officer told. However, despite successfully making some Russian airfields unusable, Russia has plenty more. Russia operates 42 airfields, including those in Belarus and the occupied Crimean Peninsula, with 28 of them able to station strategic bombers and fighter jets, retired military officer and defense expert Viktor Kevliuk told. Russia still has over 1,000 warplanes at its disposal, according to the Military Balance 2024 overview, and numerous airfields still out of Ukraine's reach. Ukraine carried out at least 5 strikes on Russian airfields in August, which were confirmed to the Kiev Independent by a military intelligence source familiar with Kiev's operations on Russian soil. The Ukrainian Armed Forces Kursk operation has been going on for almost a month. During this time, Ukraine has captured almost 1,300 square kilometers of Russian territory and taken control of Sudza, an important gas export hub for Russia's Trans-Siberian pipeline. In addition, Ukraine has created a military administration and has enough armored vehicles amassed in the Sumy region to strengthen its military contingent. As the Telegraph writes, this is a great achievement. The Ukrainian armed forces, faced with poorly trained conscripts and largely evacuated cities, have shown the defensive weaknesses of Russia and its nuclear threats. At the same time, the Ukrainian troops themselves do not intend to leave this territory, which would lead to a ceasefire and a freezing of the front. The publication notes that although from a moral point of view this brazen gambit by Kyiv was successful, the same cannot be said from a military point of view. After last year's failed counter-offensive, the Kursk offensive gave Ukrainian troops much-needed confidence. The feel-good effect was reinforced by the shock value of the Kursk invasion. The Ukrainian forces deployed to Sumy initially believed they were on a defensive mission. Seeing the spectacular collapse of Russia's defensive lines was a welcome moment for Ukraine's battle-weary forces and evoked memories of Russia's disastrous capitulation in Kharkiv in September 2022. The Telegraph points out. It is noted that the invasion of Russian territory emboldened Ukraine's most ardent Western supporters. Russia's unwillingness to translate apocalyptic rhetoric into tactical nuclear strikes, the destruction of the Kyiv dam, or the blowing up of the Zaporizhia NPP destroyed the risk of escalation arguments against arming Ukraine. Ukraine's high number of strikes on enemy oil infrastructure further dampens fears around the issue. Ukraine's ability to hold on to captured enemy territory has fueled speculation about a land swap deal and reduced pressure on Kyiv to make unilateral territorial concessions. At the same time, the apathy of the Russian public regarding the situation in the Kursk region guarantees that Russia is unlikely to pull forces from Donetsk to defend its land. Putin's army of propagandists has normalized Ukraine's seizure of territory in Kursk, and the vague promise of Kiev's final defeat has reassured most Russians. Moreover, the revelation of Russia's limited escalation capacity has not accelerated approvals for sophisticated weapons transfers to Ukraine. Although the US is due to include the joint air-to-surface missile in the fall arms package, technical problems could force Ukraine to wait months to receive it. Germany has not approved the export of the Taurus cruise missile, and Washington has not unblocked the use of British Storm Shadow missiles against Russian targets. So while Ukraine's invasion has restored the feel-good factor after a tough year of military setbacks and disappointments, tangible military gains have yet to materialize, if they ever will.